Hello, good afternoon to all our viewers on YouTube. Alam kong ready na kayo for our final round, but we will be starting in a few minutes. Okay, but before that, just a quick commercial for everyone. The scholarship for Faith College of Education is still open. So if you have friends or relatives na sa tingin nyo ay pwede or may potential to be a teacher leader, don't hesitate and grab this opportunity. There are full scholarships available. Tama ba, Shermaine?
Yes, and here are the scholarship applications for Faith College's education. Be one of us. We have full scholarships available for aspiring teacher leaders, successful student graduates with 100% employment track, legacy of teacher leader graduates and home of Latin honor awardees, extensive capability seminars or training, strong values formation for teacher leaders, POA Level 2 accredited and consistent above national level passing rate. So ano pa pinihintay natin? Apply now.
Generalist!
Ibig sabihin, you're making that cargo.
First is, it removes
At nakikita namin din yung struggle ng mga teacher. The primary purpose of the grading
resources from professional education, which obtains faculties need to unlock Magandang araw, grade 14, Teresa of Against Football, and the level is to Vertex.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the final clash. This is the Gurolympics 2022 Debate Finals. Kahit makalakas sa ulan, nilalaban natin ito for this session ay Roy Montenegro from the Tail Tribe.
And I am Charmaine Makuha Umali from the Fang Tribe. We will be your moderators for today's championship. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. I am excited just as you are right now, kaya naman patuloy lang po tayo mag-cheer sa ating debate teams na maglalaban para sa araw na ito. So to start our program, let us all ask the presence of Almighty God through an opening prayer. We praise and thank you, dear God, for the blessings you have showered upon us. Empower us that we may have the intelligence to operate and perform in the best way we can. The will for total commitment to truth, justice, freedom, peace, and unity among people and the environment. And the heart to be compassionate and sensitive to the needs of others, especially the poor. This we ask in the name of Mary, our Mother, and Jesus our Lord. Amen. Mater Fidelium, Mater Fidelis, ora pro nobis.
Ayan, once again, good afternoon to all our future teachers watching on our YouTube channel. Magandang hapon sa inyo at alam ko, marami sa inyo umuulan ngayon pero ilalaban natin ang final clash, ang huling buga, ang final battle between the Tail Tribe and the Talon Tribe for our debate competition. Pero bago yon, Charmaine, ano ba yung nangyari noong ating elimination round?
Ayan, speaking of ano nga ba nangyari nung ating elimination round, bago tayo magsimula sa ating labanan, atin munang balikan ang nangyari. So, nung ginanap ang elimination round natin ay April 26 noong Tuesday. So, para sa ating debate session 1 between Tail Tribe and Spine Tribe, they talked about the issue of PBB history quiz with the question, should we blame the education system or not? Ang ating spine tribe, believing that we should blame the education system, while our tail tribe believes that we should not. So in the end, nanalaystay ang kapangyarihan ng tail tribe at isa sila sa ating mga aabangan ngayong final debate competition. So Kuya Roy, ibahagi mo naman ang nangyari ng elimination round debate session 2.
Tama. After na isang madugong labanan ng ating debate session 1, nangyari isa pang mas madugong labanan between the Fang tribe and the Talon tribe kung saan pinag-usapan nila ang arts. Ang arts ba ay dapat i-integrate or i-separate subject? 'Di ba? Ang Fang tribe naniniwala na dapat may separate subject, ang Talon tribe naniniwala na dapat integrate atin ang arts sa bawat classroom. At sa labanang iyon, nagwagi ang Talon tribe kaya naman sila ang makakalaban ng Tail tribe for this finals. And so, the battle between Talon tribe and Tail tribe will finally lead us to know which team will reign as this year's Gurolympics debate champion. For this championship, for the information of everyone, magkakaroon po tayo ng panibagong debate flow. So here is the new debate flow for our finals or for our championship. As the usual, we will be starting with the opening statement for 5 minutes, starting with the affirmative side, to be followed by further arguments without rebuttal, and rebuttal without adding new information for 4 and 3 minutes respectively. After that, magkakaroon tayo ng recess for 8 minutes. Okay, so nadagdagan po ang first part ng ating debate. After that, dito na po mangyayari ang tinatawag nating head-to-head battle between the Tail tribe and Talon tribe dahil mula sa rebuttal for 2 minutes, rebuttal 1.5 minutes, and summarization of the arguments, hindi na po kami mag-e-epal ni Charmaine doon dahil head-to-head battle na ito between the Talon and the Tail tribe. Then after that, magkakaroon tayo ng closing statement for 2 minutes. Mas exciting ang ating championship, di ba Charmaine?
Yes, Kuya Roy. And thank you for that information, Kuya Roy. Now, for this afternoon session, just like last elimination round, we will still be having with us Dr. Anacleta Cabigal as our judge. So let's give her our big virtual round of applause. Dr. Cabigal is currently watching right now on YouTube. So thank you very much again, Doc C, for gracing our invitation.
That is right. Thank you so much, Doxy. And at this point, mukhang nagkakagulo na ang chat box natin. Ready na ang ating mga cheaters. Ready na tayo, moderators. Ready na ang ating mga directors. At syempre, handang-handa na rin ang ating mga debaters. Kaya Charmaine, magsimula na tayo. Tara na.
Sige, Kuya Roy, without further ado, let us start the Gurolympics 2022 debate final.
Our proposition is standardized testing for licensed professional teacher. Written or practical tests. So as we all know, passing a standardized test in the form of a written examination is a basic requirement for professional licensed teachers in the Philippines as provided by the law. However, there is a call in Congress to amend a certain provision in Republic Act 7836, otherwise known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. The said provision is found under Article 3, Section 13, which reads as follows. Except as otherwise especially allowed under the provisions of this Act, all applicants for registration as professional teachers shall be required to undergo a written examination which shall be given at least once a year in such places and dates the board may determine upon approval by the commission. A valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license from the commission are required before any person is allowed to practice as a professional teacher in the Philippines except as otherwise allowed under this act. Before proceeding with the ratification of amendments, the lawmakers have invited two groups of teachers to hear their stand on this pressing issue concerning our teachers. The lawmakers asked them this question: standardized teaching or testing for licensed professional teachers, written or practical test. The first group affirms that the aforementioned section should remain as it is. In other words, a written examination should still be the standardized form of testing for those who are aspiring to become professional teachers. On the other group, opposes the idea of the first group by stating that the professionalization of teachers should be based on practical examination as the standardized form of testing, and hereby calls to modify the contested provision. So Charmaine, based on this topic, grabe matindi ang ating topic for finals. What's your thought on this issue?
That's a very good question, Kuya Roy. Kung ating pakakaisipin, di ba, nasanay tayo sa paraang written exams kasi ito yung tinatawag nating traditional way. But stating the fact na we are all different, we have multiple intelligences, ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ay swak or applicable ang ganitong paraan na written exams. Sinasabi nga sa atin palagi na there is no such thing as one size fits all. So kaya I also understand why others are pushing the practical test. So however, we cannot deny rin naman na both of them are important. Kaya for now, Kuya Roy, I am at the center. So what about you?
Yes, I couldn't agree more with what you have said. Agree ako dyan. Kasi alam natin na as teachers, kailangan we have the pedagogy. Ibig sabihin, kailangan alam natin kung paano magturo. Which is why practical exam is also necessary. However, as teachers, di ba, alam natin, hindi pwede hindi natin alam yung ating ituturo. Kaya naman, competence is also important. Competence on the subjects, competence on the theories, strategies, and some other things. Kaya, hindi ko rin talaga alam. I'm with your side. Nasa gitna rin ako. Hindi ko alam kung dapat ba talaga written test or practical test. Okay? So let's not make this long and let us hear the arguments from our debaters. For our debate finals, we have Tail Tribe versus Talon Tribe, and the proposition is standardized testing for licensed professional teacher, written or practical test.
Tail Tribe taking on the affirmative side, they stand for a standardized written exams. So Tail Tribe is composed of Faris Maham, Trisha Davila, Roy Angelo Nunez, and Carla Sandokan.
That's right. Now, on the opposing side is the Talon Tribe, believing that we should have a practical standardized test. Again, Talon Tribe is composed of Carlos Luis Gumbo, Rose Ann Platon, Jane David Devilla, and Dean Haley Villanueva.
With that saying, let the battle begin. We will be starting our opening statement from the affirmative side. So affirmative side, pwede na po kayong pumasok sa ating screen. Ayan. Affirmative side, you have 5 minutes and your timer will start now.
A pleasant afternoon to our host, our judge, the opposing side, and to everyone who is watching this debate. Given the topic, standardized testing for licensed professional teachers, written or practical test, we, the debaters from the Tail Tribe, will prove and defend our stand as the affirmative side who claim that standardized testing for licensed professional teachers should still be a written test. Standardized testing is a form of testing that is created, administered, and scored in the same way for all students in order to obtain an objective picture of student, teacher, school, and district performance. Almost all of the licensure exams for professionals, which PRC or the Professional Regulation Commission handles, are all in the form of a written test. In pursuing professional teaching, the existing and current form of standardized tests for licensed professional teachers is also a written test, specifically a multiple choice type, which we all know is the LET or the licensure examination for teachers. As the affirmative side, we firmly believe that this existing form of standardized test for LPTs should not be changed for these reasons: objectivity and fairness. Number one, the written test format is fair and objective. Using a written test like multiple choice type of test means there is an absolute right and wrong answer. That means there will be no bias in the scoring since the content of the test measures the students, or in this debate's context, teachers, mastery of knowledge from college. Unlike the practical test, which will measure more the application of the knowledge, which can say it measures the skill of the teacher, the scoring process will use a rubric or criteria. That would mean there will be another factor that will affect the score of the teachers, which is the subjective judge scorer evaluation. Number two, regarding the subjective scorer or the evaluation, it may sound as speculation, but unfortunately it is happening. The palakasan system may be present. In fact, according to a keynote 2021, palakasan and clannish culture are common in the Philippines, which allow the propagation of corruption. This reflects on our education system where teachers with relatives or friends may easily pass the test just because they are acquainted with the assigned scorer of the practical test. Palakasan system is unethical and unfair, and we must prevent it from happening. With our current format of standardized test, palakasan system is impossible to happen. Feasibility. Number one, the written test format is less time consuming. Taking a written test is less time consuming than a practical test for teachers during and after the test. They are being assessed from the roots of their knowledge by just sitting and answering questions from a specific amount of time. Also, the scorer of the written test is now a computer, which means the assessment is more convenient. On the other hand, practical tests require more time for the judge or the scorers since the type of evaluation is a subjective human one. The written test type is much faster than the practical test, especially in revealing the results. The written test requires less manpower. As mentioned earlier, only what the facilitators of the test will work, for example, in preventing the teachers from cheating in their exams, while the scores will be computed using computers. However, considering the number of those who would want to take the test, the practical test will require more manpower in scoring. It must have more judges to accommodate the teachers. The written test has a lesser cost. We know for a fact that all board exams, especially the LET, have a fee. The written test can access all including the mastery of the subject. They will teach mastery of theories and mastery of philosophies and pedagogies. Practical tests has a narrower scope. It will only measure a part of their knowledge about the subject, theories, philosophies, and pedagogies. There are different types of them, and practical tests are not enough to measure and ensure the knowledge of the teachers. In written tests, test items are turned into scenarios that will assess their higher order thinking skills. It's not limited, for example, in just one or two classroom scenarios, but all possible classroom scenarios that may literally happen in the field. Practical test only measures pedagogy that can be measured through a written exam and way more other ways such as the role of a teacher as an evaluator, planner, innovator, and many more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Tail Tribe, for that opening statement. Let us now hear the opening statement from the Talent Tribe. You have 5 minutes, and your timer will start once you begin speaking.
Good afternoon. All of us here are teachers, and to be able to attach to our names the title Licensed Professional Teacher, we need to pass the licensure examination for teachers. A written examination that serves as an indicator that an aspiring teacher is somehow adequately equipped in terms of content. But is it already enough assurance of a quality educator? Can we really expect that they are properly prepared to assume the roles and functions of a K to 12 teacher? From these thought-provoking questions, we believe that practical examination should now be a standardized testing for identifying qualified professional teachers. If our Philippine education system recognizes the importance of professional standards based on the principles of lifelong learning and that the enhancement of teacher quality is of utmost significance for long-term sustainable nation building, then demands for reform are necessary. Hence, how the Philippines produces and identifies teachers' professionalization needs a quick rethink. Now, why are we pushing for a practical examination? First, written exams are overrated, especially now that we are already in the 21st century. This may seem raspy, but written exams may only test their knowledge but not their competence. The LET is a written examination, a multiple choice type of test to be exact, and it cannot be the basis of a great teacher. The real battleground is the classroom. The reality of teachers is they will spend their whole career performing and demonstrating knowledge, skills, and values. More than just a mastery of knowledge, teaching is about mastery of skills. If we keep on insisting on written examinations than practical testing, isn't it that we are putting mockery on not only our national goals in education, but also on the professional standards that our education system has drafted? Secondly, the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act was ratified in 1994, where it's been more than 2 decades have passed. Our curriculum has even underwent a lot of curriculum development and curriculum change from the basic education curriculum in 2002 up to the K to 12 curriculum in 2013. What frustrates us more is that the Department of Education released in 2017 Adopted Order number 42, which enumerates professional standards for teachers. It states that there are 7 domains that are required by teachers to be effective in the 21st century in the Philippines. And among these domains, only one domain focuses on the mastery of content and learning, and the rest demands for skills from the teachers. Lastly, 21st century students require modern, competent teachers. Many scholars and researchers see competence as a combination of knowledge, skills, and values, or the state or quality of being qualified and capable of performing a given role. Studies also suggest that quality learning is contingent upon quality teaching. We cannot let the notion 21st century students are being taught by 20th century teachers keep ringing in our ears, because they keep on saying that teachers are not competent enough to pacify students with 21st century skills. We are not disproving and discrediting teachers who passed the LET during the past years. What we are stressing here is that written examination seems to become decreasingly relevant to the demands of our current educational system. Thus, if it's not relevant and adhering to the requirements of a 21st century education, it is now imperative for our education system to put premium on a redefining registration for professional teachers. Therefore, we hereby call for a revision, an amendment to Article 3, Section 13 of the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 2004 to ratify a new law that required teachers to take practical examination rather than written examination to be identified as licensed professional teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Talon Tribe, for your opening statement.
What an amazing opening statement from both sides. And now, for further arguments and rebuttal, let me call on affirmative side. You have 4 minutes. Affirmative side, pwede na po tayong pumasok. Ayan. You have 4 minutes and your timer will start once you're ready.
Yes, skills are very important for teachers. However, remember, a not so competent teacher can get a license by simply preparing and memorizing for that practical exam. But this same teacher may possibly be declined the license because a written exam can measure a broader scope of all the things that a teacher should know. Are we going to settle and compromise the things that a teacher should know? Are we going to settle and compromise the teaching profession by making the license easy to get rather than carefully filtering them through a standardized written exam? Let's think of our profession. Besides, all teachers undergo demo teaching before they can even get a job. Moreover, would, would you think that having a practical test is way more expensive and time consuming to do? Remember, in our college curriculum, we have a lot of professional education subjects that focus on the students' skills and capabilities in pedagogy. Like in elementary education, the LMAT, the LSI, and also on secondary educations like technology for teaching mathematics. Also, we cannot deny the fact that the palakasan system is very rampant here in the Philippines. In fact, according to our research in Aquino 2021, palakasan and clannish culture are common in the Philippines, which allow the propagation of corruption. This can also reflect on our education, where teachers with relatives or friends may easily pass a test just because they are acquainted to the assigned scorer of the practical test. That's all. Thank you.
Remember, a not so competent teacher can get a license by simply preparing, memorizing for that practical exam, but this same teacher may possibly be declined. The license, because of a written exam, can measure a broader scope of all the things that a teacher should know. Are we going to settle and compromise the teaching profession by making the license easy to get rather than carefully filtering them through a standardized written exam? Let us think of our profession. And the standardized definition was we use standardized tests so that it could be objective to everyone. A standardized test is any form of test that requires all test takers to answer the same questions or a selection of questions from a common bank of questions. In the same way, and that is scored in a standard or consistent manner, which make it possible to objectively evaluate performance of individual students of group of students.
Also, you asked that can we really expect that they are really prepared? Please ask that question to your side. Can you really check the six skill related domain in a practical test? That's all. Thank you.
Now, may I ask you, how do you define the standardized teaching? It seems that you are demanding for a change, but what exactly change are you pertaining to? Practical test is too idealistic, and you haven't even mentioned your definition of standardized practical test. Thank you.
Alright, thank you affirmative side for your pasabog na information.
Okay, now let's go to the further arguments and rebuttal of our opposing side, the talent tribe. Again, you have your timer will start once you begin speaking.
Houston in 1987 defined competencies as the requirement of competency-based teacher education which include knowledge, skills, and values. So, by making these aspiring teachers take a written exam, You only look at their knowledge. Hindi mo tinitingnan yung skills nila. And you don't even try to look at their values. And you might go ahead and think, ano ngayon? Importante yung knowledge. Which it is. I'm not saying knowledge is not important. What I'm trying here is that make you understand that all teachers should be knowledgeable. Kasi kung hindi sila knowledgeable, how exactly would they know kung ano yung ibibigay nila sa mga bata? You have to understand that the competency of a teacher does not solely rely on knowledge. This was supported by Nesip Bayeva in 2012, stating that there are 4 21st century teaching competencies. So ano yung apat na yon? This is that they can lead, they can establish a respectable environment for a diverse population of students, they have the knowledge of what they teach, and that they facilitate learning for students. So nabanggit ngayon si knowledge. Pero, you said it yourself earlier. Maraming nakakapasa just by memorizing the answers to the questions to the written exam. So, if only one of these competencies ang titingnan sa aspiring teachers, how exactly can you say that they are competent enough for the society's modern setting? I would assume that each and every one of us in this debate knows na, as what Ate Rosie said earlier, the battle is inside the classroom, not in the paper, not what you wrote down on the paper, but how you apply what you know. That is all.
Now, let's go over what you have mentioned earlier. It seems to us who propose practical testing, standardized practical testing, that you're prioritizing less time-consuming methods. So you're basically going for comfort over content. It's okay for you to compromise the quality of our teachers just because it's more convenient for you. So which would you prefer, convenience or concreteness? Because I for sure wouldn't want quantity over quality, right? So and if you're talking about memorization, wouldn't that apply easier to standardized written tests where all of the information are in textbooks and reviewers and they're basically all available to one's hand so they can basically memorize all of those information. Now, if you're saying that your focus is knowledge, why should we focus on skill? Here's why. In a classroom context, Bloom's taxonomy is very relevant. Okay, there are 6 steps into higher order thinking. The lowest of which is remembering, which is of course having the basic knowledge for something. If you know a concept, then you remember that concept. That's the lowest thing. Now, standardized written testing for the licensure exam for teachers basically assesses your remembering skills. Okay, it's not testing the higher order thinking skills at the 6th step of Bloom's taxonomy, wherein you are able to create and manifest your skills. Dr. Benjamin Bloom himself said that if you are able to master the 6th step, you are mastering all of the 5 preceding steps. That is exactly why practical testing would not only exhibit one skill, but also exhibit their knowledge and their analytical thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills matter more than lower order thinking skills.
Thank you so much, opposing side, for your further arguments and rebuttal. Let us now proceed with our arguments or rebuttals without adding new information, starting with our affirmative side. Starting with our affirmative side, you can now start.
Okay, so you said earlier na knowledge lang ang makikita kapag nag-written exam. However, kapag nag-written exam ka, meron kang makikita na situational na mga questions. And also, kapag nag-demo teaching ka, hindi mo makikita lahat-lahat ng napag-aralan mo. Lahat ng theories, lahat ng mga tinuro sa mga pedagogy. Isang situation or 2 situations lang. Also, a teacher is not just a teacher. Siyempre, ang main job ng isang teacher ay magturo. Pero, ang makikita mo lang kapag nag-practical exam ka is yung teaching lang. However, that is not the case in real life situations. Teachers are also evaluators, they are planners, they are innovators, and many more. And you can measure that in written exams. Also, you have mentioned that they that in written exams we are only memorizing. However, for example, isipin nyo, kapag magde-demo teaching ka, isang demo teaching na mm, magpapaghandaan ng isang teacher. Papaghandaan siya ng isang teacher for a month or a week. So, paano nun mame-measure yung kakayahan ng isang teacher? Eh, hindi naman siya ganun on a daily basis, di ba? Hindi siya ganun on a daily basis. Hindi talaga siya ganun magturo. Kahit hindi siya magaling magturo, dahil nga napaghandaan niya yung isang araw na yun, kahit hindi siya magaling, kahit hindi niya alam yung itinuturo niya, kapag pinag-aralan niya ng paulit-ulit yung one topic na yun, malalaman niya kung paano gawin at papasa siya. So, doesn't that make the LET exam much easier for our teachers? 'Di ba? Yun lang po. Thank you.
Now, ask ko lang, makikita ba ang isang skills at values ng isang teacher sa isang practical? Hindi ba, hindi yun kayang sukatin? Kasi pwede natin yung paghandaan. Hindi, if a teacher can just memorize para sa practical exam at nakakuha ng isang license, hindi ba parang mas nakakababa po yun ng tingin sa teacher? Yun lang, thank you.
Also, disclaimer lang po, we are assuming that demo teaching as a practical test based on what you're pertaining to in a standardized test for teachers. So, we are assuming na po na you are pertaining to um, demo teaching as a practical test since wala naman po kayong sinasabing other type of practical test. Yun lang po.
Now we will be having a rebuttal without adding any new information for our opposing side. You have 3 minutes and your timer will start when you're ready to speak.
Good afternoon again. The other party claimed that teaching is about testing mastery of theories and content because that's what we are going to teach. Okay, let's assume that the teacher passed the board exam. However, the big question, can he or she really apply all those theories and learning into practice? The education system of today warrants a competent teacher, a lifelong learner who can effectively perform the given role. And it's already enumerated in the DepEd Order number 42. We need a teacher who is a master of his or her own profession. So if that is the case, why are we measuring teachers' professionalism only through his or her knowledge when it is clearly the demands of the 21st century education to teachers to be well versed or good, and not only knowledge but also skills, attitudes, and values? How can we measure these components when we keep on using multiple choice type of testing? According to the principles of social order by George Counts, education is not based on eternal truths, but is relative to a particular society living at a given time and place. Teachers should lead the society rather than follow it. Teachers are agents of change. So if you are saying that we should still resort to written examination, how can we measure the competencies of teachers in in delivering the lessons? Well, our education system are putting emphasis on uh, education or improving the competencies of the students. It is also high time that we push for the amendment of Teachers Professionalization Act to focus on the performance standards that teachers must possess. At the end of the day, achieving quality education and the sustainability of education system in the Philippines, or for us to be globally competitive, lies on the hands of teachers. And it all boils down to the competence of teachers to meet the new professional standards for teachers.
Tick off a gear in my head. You said that if we have standardized written exams for, take note, we're talking about professionalism. We're defining who will become a professional and who won't be. And you're posting your exam. Wouldn't that make less competent teachers in the future? And it's just a reflection of how you be as a teacher. I don't want to offend anyone. But if exams are really easy, then what are teachers if
Alright, thank you so much, Talent Drive. Talaga namang hindi nagpapatalo ang ating Talent Drive. Thank you, our opposing side. So, Kuya Roy, okay ka pa ba dyan?
Grabe. Talagang damang-dama mo yung finals, no? Talagang hindi, lahat tayo nag-iisip, no? Tama, ano ba talaga? Practical ba talaga or written? Talagang mapapaisip ka. And it is really evident that our debaters really prepared for this battle. Kaya naman, magpahinga muna sila, di ba, Charmaine?
Yes, they deserve na magpahinga. Kaya naman
Ayun.
magkakaroon tayo, Kuya Roy, ng
Yes, magkakaroon tayo ng recess for 8 minutes for our debaters to prepare their arguments para sa ating head-to-head battle later. Just a reminder for our debaters, kailangan po tayo nakafocus lagi sa slides and sa timer natin sa slides because me and Charmaine will not be interfering kasi po ito pa ay head-to-head battle. So, yun lamang po. We will be back in 8 minutes. So, to all our viewers, kalma lang kayo dyan. Hinga-hinga muna tayo. Ayan, we are back. Hello po sa ating mga YouTube viewers.
Yes, and speaking of we are back, hindi lang kami ni Kuya Roy na inyong host ang nagbabalik, kundi syempre nagbabalik ang pagbabatuhan ng impormasyon galing sa ating Tail Tribe and Talon Tribe. Kaya naman to our dear viewers, let's keep the comments coming.
Tama. So, puro actually, Shermin, ang daming cheer sa ating YouTube. Pero gusto kong malaman, syempre, as teachers, di ba? As future teachers, di ba? Concerned din natin itong mga isyong ito, di ba?
Yes, agree, Kuya Roy.
Ayan. So, gusto kong malaman sa ating mga YouTube viewers, ano sa tingin nyo? Should we have walang ano ha, walang bias kung anong tribe nyo. Just on your own, sa tingin nyo kaya ano ang mas maganda para mabigyan tayo ng mga lisensya? Should we have a written test or a practical test? Ayan. Kasi puro cheer na kita natin. Thank you so much sa mga cheer ng ating mga YouTube viewers. Pero gusto kong malaman yung kanilang thoughts, di ba, Shermine?
Yes, we would love to know kung ano ba yung kanilang perspective pagdating dito sa issue na to.
Yes. Ikaw ba, Shermine, if ever sa tingin mo, di ba nakapag-share ka na ng insights mo kanina, pero sa mga nangyaring debate ka na, sa tingin mo ano yung something na meron sa written na wala sa practical, or ikaw, what's your thought on this topic? Kasi ang hirap talaga, di ba?
Oo, Kuya Roy, sabihin natin na sobrang hirap talaga ng ganitong problema. Pero dahil sa mga napakinggan ko at sa mga napanood ko, parang gusto ko na yung practical exams. Kasi doon talaga na natin na-apply kung ano ba yung ating mga nalalaman as future educators. How about you, Kuya Roy?
Yes, tama. And also, nag-agree din sa'yo si John Renzo Part. Sabi niya, practical as BP student kasi pag PE skills yung tinitingnan. That is correct naman. No? Talagang, as a teachers, di ba, importante na kaya nating mag-perform better. Pero, just like the argument of the tail tribe, pwede siya kasing paghandaan. So, I think, also important din yung written exam naman. Kasi, doon na measure yung competence and given that maraming pwedeng scenarios or mga application or mga situational questions sa exams, di ba? So, I think maganda pa rin na may written. Pero again, mahirap talaga i-weigh, di ba,
Yes, we can't
Charmaine?
deny pa rin, Kuya Roy, na napakahalaga ng parehas na type of exams
Totoo.
na meron
Pwede ba
tayo.
pagsamahin na lang natin sila? Di ba? Ganun na lang. Parang hindi natin nag-aaway
Yes,
dito. Ayan.
true.
Actually, sabi dito ni Doc J, sabi ni Doc, layered testing. O, di ba? So, yun yung suggestion ni Doc, no, layered. Siguro, ibig sabihin, meron iba't ibang steps para makakuha tayo ng lisensya. Di ba? Pwedeng yes. Thank you so much. Ayan. So, sabi ng iba, written test naman. Ayan. So, actually, iba-iba and actually nagva-vary ang rason or ang arguments ng bawat isa. Depende, di ba? Kasi the competence of a teacher, yung galing ng teacher, medyo mahirap talaga siyang sukatin. No? Kasi when we have written exam, syempre may review, nakakapag-prepare. Pag practical, ganun din nakakapag-prepare. So medyo mahirap talaga siya. Ayan.
Yes, nakadepende din yan sa majors or ating specialized na ituturo sa ating mga students. Diba?
Ayan, sabi ni Roy dito, it is for licensure exam, not just for a mere exam for grades. Ayan, di ba? So actually, meron din mga sinabi kanina yung TL Tribe na syempre, through a practical exam, paano nga naman natin susukatin yung galing ng teacher para mag-score, mag-evaluate ng score, or mag-derive ng judgment from the scores, di ba? So, medyo mahirap siyang sukatin using a practical test. Pero syempre, di ba, kung titingnan natin naman yung written, ang hirap sukatin gaano makagaling mag-deliver ng lesson si teacher. Di ba? Ang hirap sukatin ng using a written exam, di
Yes.
ba?
Mhm. Ayan, sunod-sunod ang mga dumadating na comments sa ating comment section. So, thank you so much po sa ating mga supporters for each tribe.
Ayan, sabi ni Krim, no, written test po kasi ayaw ko isayaw ang mga math formula. Grabe, no? Sasayaw yung mga
Oo
math
nga
formula.
naman.
Ayan. Sabi naman ni Roy, feasibility, not convenience. Yeah, ito yung pinaglalaban ng TL Tribe. No? It's not convenient, but it's actually feasibility kasi mahirap nga namang isagawa ang isang practical test, especially sobrang daming aspiring professional teachers. Pero syempre, di ba, mahirap talagang timbangin, Sherwin. Alam kong ramdam na ramdam mo kung paano ba, ano ba talaga, kasi parehong mahalaga, di ba?
True, sobrang halaga nila parehas.
Ayan, so, I think ready na ba ang ating debaters? Can I have a go signal from our organizers? Ayan. Pero guys, to all our viewers, please keep those comments coming. One of the main reasons kaya rin tayo may debate is first is for our debaters to talk about these pressing issues, but also for us, tayo mga viewers, moderators, kayo mga nasa YouTube, let's have also a discourse on this topic. No? Pag-usapan din natin to. Kasi as a future teacher, this concerns us kasi tayo yung magtitake ng exam. Di ba? Tayo yung aspiring professional teachers. Kaya mahalaga, no? We would love to really see your comments or your insights or your stand on this topic. Di ba, Charmaine? Ayan.
Yes, Kuya Roy. And since wala pa namang go signal mula sa ating org, ay bakit hindi na lang tayo mag-roll call, Kuya Roy? Are you ready for
Tama,
it?
oo. Baka mag-attendance check tayo
Yeah,
sa ating
yes.
tribes. Go,
Okay, so
Charmaine.
simulan natin sa nasaan ang ating Fang tribe. Nasaan po kaya ang ating Fang tribe?
Ayan, may mga fang tribe dito. Siyempre, dapat support tayo no? Kahit wala ang ating mga pambato sa debate.
Yes.
Ayan. Nasaan din ang ating mga spine tribe? Ayan, for sure may mga spine tribe na nanonood sa atin ngayon.
All right, and how about our tail tribe? Yan, sigurado ko nandito sila ngayon dahil ang kanilang mga pambato ay lumalaban.
Totoo yan. At syempre, hindi rin magpapatalo ang ang kalaban ng tail tribe, ang talon tribe. Nasaan po ang mga warriors ng ating talon tribe?
Okay, so since nakapag-attendance na naman tayo, Kuya Roy,
Ayan.
why not simulan na natin? Ano? May go signal na tayo from our committee.
That is correct. So just a quick reminder to all our debaters, again, to all our debaters here on StreamYard, makinig po ng mabuti. The next part of our debate is a head-to-head battle. This means wala po kami pakialam sa inyo ni Charmaine for the next few parts kasi kayo po ay mag-head-to-head. This means that after magsalita ng isang side, diretso na po agad, magsasalita na po agad yung kabilang side for their rebuttals. And just a reminder, always check our slide. It is always presented para makita nyo kung side nyo na ba ang magsasalita at kung meron pa ba kayong remaining time. Again, just a reminder, please practice respect po. Ano po, ayan. So we are here for a discourse, for a very nice discourse. So make sure to always check the slides, okay? And also respect for each other. Okay po. So again, to all our debaters, please be minded of the time. Always check our slide here on StreamYard. Okay? I think all of our debaters are ready. Shermie, sige, tawagin mo na sila para sa ating
With that
head-to-head.
saying, let's start and good luck to our debaters.
Okay, hello everyone. So it seems that we are not getting across the other side. So, Ate Rose Ann, you are merely debunking our arguments without supporting your own side. Your side is supposed to be featuring also how can you apply in real life the practical test. If you are pertaining to measuring knowledge without assessing skills and competence in written tests, you're wrong because test items can be manipulated to measure the higher order thinking skills. Also, it is logical to measure the mastery of knowledge before the skills since you cannot apply the skills if you do not know the concept behind it. So, sinabi niyo po kanina, we are only talking about the convenience. We're compromising the knowledge of the teachers. No, because we are talking about pag-i-implement po ng practical test bilang isang licensure test. So
So it's not about the convenience. It's about feasibility. Is it really possible? Is it really hindi ba to idealistic lang? Maganda po yung concept. But is it really kayang ilagay sa licensure examination test? Also, paulit-ulit po namin sinasabi, as we all know, ang demo teaching, ang final demo, ay requirement bago mag-graduate sa college. So, kung requirement na siya bago gumraduate ng college, 'di ba, matetest na rin naman yung skills ng isang teacher. And also, ang isang practical teaching, isang practical test, ang isang practical test ay maunti lamang ang scope, gaya ng sinabi namin kanina, maunti lamang ang scope niya, samantalang ang written test ay marami siyang mako-cover at ma-test kung ano yung mga
I'll take your word from you. You said na yung manipulation ng questions dun sa written test can also make use of the higher order thinking, but you have to understand na when it is written and it is in a question, ang natitrigger lang sa'yo is yung brain mo. You have to remember the answers, you have to remember the knowledge you have, but you don't really apply it, di ba? What for is the knowledge if you fail rather the application of the knowledge you gained. So another thing you said earlier in the earlier part of the debate is that a teacher is not just a teacher, which is true because inside the classroom, a teacher would initiate collaboration, communication, listening, adaptability to certain instances. They have to be able to show empathy and patience when it comes to their students. So how exactly can a written test measure these given skills na kailangan para mapagana or maayos mo yung performance mo inside the classroom? How exactly would a written test showcase these skills when you said na kung hindi nga kaya ng practical test, paano pa kaya pag written? You may know what to do, pero you're not sure that these aspiring teachers can actually do that inside the classroom.
Again, what you are always saying why we should change it into a practical test, but you haven't considered will practical tests be the standardized test? If yes, how? That's always that's how what we're trying to find out. Kanina po namin, we are asking earlier, what is your definition of standardized test? You are always saying the idealistic thoughts about the practical test na maganda because it measures the skills, yes. But how? You are not telling us how. Thank you.
So yun po, let me add lang, you are always saying na hindi po namin ma-measure yung skills ng isang student. You said na knowledge lang lagi yung sinasabi niyo na makukuha sa isang practical exam. However, we cannot teach what we don't know. As we all know that, we cannot teach what we don't know. Also, hindi lang po siya basta words lang, hindi lang brain. Because as we all know, we have situational questions in written exam test. Tsaka kapag po
You keep on asking us how, okay? You keep on asking us how we're going to carry out standardized practical testing. We're supposed to tell you how. Now, if you don't know the meaning of standardized testing, standardized in its essence means that every single taker taking the same exam in terms of practical exam will be standardized. There will be the same grading criteria for each taker. That's out of the way. You want to talk about feasibility? Okay, let's talk about feasibility. Why is something as trivial as driving? Being a professional driver needs you to have hands-on experience, needs you to have field experience. There's a practical driving test. But let's also think about architects. Architects need 2,000 hours of apprenticeship before they could even take the licensure exam. Those are practical tests, okay, before you can become a professional in that certain field. Now, why is it that teaching, education, the profession that creates all professions cannot have even a licensure exam that focuses on practicality, that focuses on applying the skills that they learn? Knowledge is there. For 4 years, you've been studying all these theories, all these names, and then their propositions. So if you're going to base off of that in terms of professionalism, then every graduate should be a professional because they all know that. But why can't we do it practically?
Hello, Jane, you said earlier. You also have to understand that practice and application is after the knowledge. You yourself said it yourself. Sabi mo, paano kapag nag-fail kami? I-apply ang knowledge na natutunan. For the third time, ask your side also, how will you apply all those suggestions of yours into a practical test? Do you have any proof that it will be effective? Kaya nga written exams are there for many, many years because written exam is working and still be working. Thank you.
Also, we are going to ask you, how is practical test objective? We are using written examinations because of their objectivity. So, how? That's why we are asking you how we are going to apply the practical test. Because if you're not going to tell us how, then we are going to assume that you are going to use criteria. If you are going to use criteria, then it will be very, very subjective. Isn't that right? It will be very subjective because the insights of the teachers who will score the teachers, the future teachers will will vary. They will have different scoring types. Also, standardized testing, Carlos, is large scale uniform testing. Just like what you have said, we are asking because written test has been standardized, but practical test, paano standardized ang demo teaching? Also, we have different scenarios in real life. We have different scenarios in real life. However, kapag practical test lang po yung pinagawa natin, paano po natin makikita lahat-lahat ng mga situations in real life? Paano natin ma-apply lahat-lahat ng theories na natutunan natin? So, sinasabi nyo nga na hindi naman natin, alam nga natin yung mga theories na natin na-apply, paano malaman na, na alam mo yung theories na yun? Kung paano mo malalaman kung ma-apply mo yung theories na yun o kung alam mo yung theories na yun? Kung ang practical test natin ay iisa lang or dalawang situation lang yung magagamit. Ain't that right? So yun po, tatanungin po ulit namin kayo, how are you going to implement the practical test?
Practical test is subjective. Thank you.
The affirmative side keeps on saying that written examination is fair and objective, that we should focus on mastery of theories because practical tests are not enough. You also argue that in practical tests we are preparing. But isn't that in written exam we also do preparations? Content knowledge can be studied overnight, but skills and pedagogy, it will take years of practice. Skills are acquired through experience. So in practical tests, let those skills and performance speak the professionalism of the teacher. Hence, we strongly disagree with your presented arguments. While these may seem true, how sure are we that this still works in reality? You keep on insisting the importance of testing knowledge. Yes, we totally agree that this is important. We support you on that. But what we are talking about here is the teaching profession, a profession that births to all uh, profession. And the K to 12 curriculum reforms has already set new standards for teachers. So while written examination is inseparable in teaching and learning, is written examination still serving its purpose when it comes to measuring the knowledge and skills and experience of and values of a teacher? Does this still really poses some high relevance today? Because if we are talking about competency, since it is observable, it is measurable according to Nosembayan Bayava 2016, as we said earlier. There is a PPST already established. The PPST already established the standards of professional teachers. We can use that as a basis. And if you are asking how, take for example the TESDA. TESDA is, and also the senior high school students now, the TVL HE and TVL ICT. They are doing practical testing. T, what's common in TVL ICT and HE and teaching? They are both practice based, practical. So we need a practical exam. They we can establish an accredited assessment centers for those practical teaching or practical examinations. So we say that teaching is the noblest profession. It is already in the superlative degree of adjective. And this means being in education is being well versed in research, being adaptive, and has skills in order to provide quality education that students deserve. If we manage to transform the classroom into a learner-centered teaching or classroom where we focus output-based performance and skills, why not also in producing quality professional education or professional teachers?
Ayan, grabe. Grabe, Charmaine. Ano
Yan ang
nararamdaman mo ngayon,
tinatawag
Charmaine?
nating debate talaga, Kuya Roy. Wala nang awatan to, ganon.
Grabe, no? Napakainit ng labanan natin for our debate championship. At for sure, lahat ng ating viewers ngayon nag-enjoy na rin. And I also saw some comments na sharing their thoughts and insights, some personal experiences, some personal narratives. May nakikita tayo mga comments, and nakakatawa that we are all engaged on on this endeavor, no? On this discourse, on this pressing issue. 'Di ba?
Yes, mahalaga na alamin talaga natin ano ba talaga dapat.
Ayan. So, Charmaine, ikaw, based sa napakinggan mo kanina, no, grabe yung mga debates na napakinggan. Anong naramdaman mo habang nangyayari at saka after ng debate na yun?
'Di ba sinabi ko kanina, Kuya Roy, na I'm becoming more favor pagdating sa practical exams na. Pero nung nagpatuloy na yung pagbibigay ng mga information, hala, nandiyan na naman tayo sa center na naman tayo. Kasi,
Totoo.
syempre, meron silang kanya-kanyang points na talagang dapat intindihin din natin kasi tama naman talaga. How about you, Kuya Roy?
Yes, that is true. Both sides gave very valid points to ponder on, no? Na pag-iisipan talaga that we should also consider. And I think lahat ito ay dapat i-take into consideration, no, when we are deciding whether i-amend ba natin yung specific provision na yun or hindi. Kaya Grabe. So yung mga debaters natin, hinga-hinga muna kayo dyan dahil for sure
Yes.
matindi yung naging debate na yun.
Pwede muna kayo ngayong mainom ng tubig o huminga.
Totoo, yan. Grabe. So, ang daming comments natin dito sa chat, sa ating chat. Ayan. Ang daming mga sharing of insights, pero lamang na lamang ang cheer. Ang daming natin mga cheerers sa YouTube.
Yes, meron din silang mga names talaga ng ating participant na inilalagay sa ating chat box.
Ayan. So now, I think, ayan, sabi ni Vivian, practical tests will allow the teachers to show their skills and knowledge at the same time. That is also a valid point. Thank you, Vivian, for your insight. Thank you sa lahat ng inyo because all of these matters. No? Lahat to pinag-uusapan natin na nagmamatter sa atin. Ayan. Ano sabi ni Roy? Shermaine, may sinasabi siya dito sa ating comment.
Okay, sabi niya, ay, no, yan, nawala sa screen.
Ayan, inalis ng ating director. O, tama na daw. Okay? Ayan. Okay, I
Yes,
think
pero
all
thank
of
you po sa ating
our...
mga viewers for
Yes.
sharing your opinion.
That is true. Now, it is time for our debaters to give their last statement, to give their last blow, their last chance para panindigan ang kanilang side. We will be starting with our affirmative side for their closing statement. You have 2 minutes. Again, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement. Your timer will start once you begin speaking.
There are three major things as to why standardized written tests should remain as a licensure examination test. Number one is objectivity. We want to reiterate that the written tests are at its most objective form as it is standardized. Also, going back to the scorability of the practical test, as it uses criteria for scoring, it will not be as objective as a standardized written test. Second is, the written tests are less time consuming compared to practical tests. Feasibility. And considering that we have been using written tests for years, we could say that they are very attainable. Also, it will require less budget than that of practical tests. Third is that scope of written tests. Written tests have greater scope as it measures all significant aspects of required knowledge that a teacher must possess. On the other hand, practical tests could only measure only the shallow areas. Practical tests only measure pedagogy that can be measured through a written exam and way more other ways, such as the role of a teacher as an evaluator, planner, innovator, and many more. The standardized written test has been the type of test for licensure examinations for years. It is continuously improving, but it was never replaced by any other type of test because it is working. Remember, we are not performers. We are teachers. We should not settle for a mere prepared performance to get the license. We are making the license easy to get. We are not upholding the teaching profession with this. Why settle for a time-consuming subjective type of test when the written test could also measure higher order thinking skills? Why settle for a standardized test, which is more hassle and less feasible if we already have the less hassle but much more reliability?
Thank you so much, Tail Tribe, for your closing statement. Let us now hear the closing statement of the affirmative side.
The reality of this discussion, from what we know so far, is that the current system that we have that labels professional teachers does not truly reflect each taker's capabilities. The standardized written test that we have prepared for our quote unquote educators does not give justice to their skills, on field capabilities, and value of the field of teaching. The ceiling at which a teacher's skill can be exhibited and manifested is much lower when assessing them through a written test that only tests lower level thinking skills. It's high time that we change our systems for the better. This call for change is backed by theories that pave the way for how we know education as it is today. It is a slap to their face to disregard their teachings that we learned during our school days and still call it proper education. Without practical standardized tests that dictate who will become professional teachers, We are denying the aspiring educators a shot to be recognized and evaluated justly, righteously, and appropriately. How do we find the audacity to demand our students a complex understanding and capability to create outputs from competency before moving on to the next one when our teachers are assessed where we gate them to just what they know? We desire to become competent teachers, but our system does not allow us to exhibit that burning passion to educate, to move forward, and to progress society. As future educators, we shall not sit down and watch as another decade passes by without change, a change that will define the future of our students and generations to come. This is not unforeseeable, but at the end of the day, knowledge or wisdom, facts or skills, written or practical, the past that has been keeping us down for God knows since when, or a future that we have the power to mold into what we long it to become. You call me out, okay, I'll call you out as well. Yes, I am calling you out, dear future educators. Everything is now within our call.
Thank you so much, Talon Tribe, for that closing statement. That was a very exquisite, explosive debate, Charmaine. Do you
That's
agree?
a wrap, Kuya Roy. Let's give our participants a big round of applause, everyone. Ipinapakita talaga nila na karapat dapat silang maging part ng ating final debate.
That is correct. I would agree with that dahil talagang grabe ang pinagpawisan ako ng malala and that is very explosive at talagang alam mong hindi tayo basta-basta lang nagde-debate dito. We are really talking about very important issues at talagang sineryoso din ng ating mga debaters. Ayan. So, thank you so much again to our debaters. You all deserve to be winners. Napakagagaling and kung sino mang manalo, bahala na. Di ba? They both
Yes.
deserve. Tama, Charmaine?
True, Kuya Roy, true. And now, why not kamustahin natin yung ating mga debaters, ano? Kasi tapos na yung debate. So, let us hear our Bachelor of Secondary Education Mathematics participants. So, kaway-kaway naman po tayo dyan. Ayan. So, dahil tapos na po ang ating debate, uumpisahan natin kay Miss Faris Makam. Kamusta ka, Faris? Anong masasabi mo ngayong tapos na ang debate?
Sobrang relief pa!
Ayan,
Oh my
sobrang...
God, ang init!
Okay, so how about you, Tail Trisha?
Ano po, masaya po, tas kinakabahan kasi since first time ko din po sumali sa mga gantong debate. Kaya po, nakaka-excite lang po. Tsaka congrats po sa lahat.
Ayan naman. Okay, para sa huling message nyo as a group, anong gusto nyo sabihin sa Talon Tribe at syempre para sa buong Tail Tribe? Sino pwedeng representative natin? Faris or kaya Trisha? You can speak.
Ayun po, thank you very much kasi po sobrang nag-enjoy po ako sa laban natin. Yun po. Let's go Tail Tribe.
Okay. Once again, everyone, our Tail Tribe participants. So, Kuya Roy, how about ang ating Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English participant?
Yes, let us call on our Talon Tribe Warriors na talagang hanggang dulo ay lumaban sa ating debate. Ayan. Gusto kong kamustahin muna, syempre, same with our Tail Tribe, mga first year students. So gusto kong kamustahin si Jane. Kasi syempre, as a first year student, kamusta representing Talon Tribe? And syempre, umabot pa kayo ngayon sa finals.
Grabe, Kuya Roy. Kung gaano kainit yung palitan kanina, ganun din kainit yung cellphone ko. Nakakakaba and masaya po.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Jane. Of course, no, syempre, lahat tayo nag-enjoy, no? Kahit mainit yung labanan, lahat tayo nag-enjoy for sure. Si Carlos naman, yan, syempre, doon nagkaroon tayo ng konting technical difficulty rin na how was the experience? Ngayon, di ba, syempre, last year, hindi ka nakapasok sa finals. Ngayon na nasa finals ka na. Kamusta yung experience in debating? Yung talagang, especially kanina, first time natin ginawa yung head-to-head. Di ba? So, how was the experience? Especially nung head-to-head na.
The head-to-head was very interesting. We definitely came closer to having the face-to-face experience kung saan pwede mo talagang supalpalin right after yung kalaban, which both parties today did. And yun, I'm very glad na nakaabot na kami ng finals kasi last year after namin malaman na eliminated na kami, ang una ko agad naisip is next year kailangan maka-finals tayo. So that way here, may the best party win.
Yung term
Yes.
talaga, Kuya Roy, na supalpalan, talagang ramdam na ramdam
Totoo,
natin yung
no?
init na
Oo.
nangyari kanina.
Oo. Ramdam na ramdam natin kanina yan ng head to head. And syempre, di ba, last year hindi nakapasok ngayon, nakapasok na and may chance na ma-claim ang championship for debate. Syempre, yung ating graduating naman, kumusta? Last year talagang lumaban ka pa for our debate. How was the experience? Bilang organizer ka dati, ngayon, debater ka na.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. I actually enjoyed it kasi it's actually my first time to join a debate competition kasi lagi lang ako sa classroom nakikipag-debate. So it's actually a good opportunity bago ako gumraduate. And thank you, FTL, for making this happen. So hello din sa mga ka-tribo ko dyan, Talon Tribe. I hope ay nabigyan namin kayo ng justice yung mga cheer nyo and yon. Sobrang thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. And for sure, hindi binigo ng ating mga debaters sa kanilang tribe. So, syempre, nag-message ka nila yung Tail Tribe. Kayo, anong message naman for Tail Tribe? And also, again, to all your supporters din. Anyone? Sinong pwede magsalita sa inyo?
Sino pwedeng representative ng Talon Tribe? Yes, go ahead, Kuya Carlos.
Narinig na ako. So, ayun, ang masasabi ko sa sila is they are very great opponents and I believe na they get the best with each other and I'm looking forward to more debates with everybody else, hindi lang ng BSE Math, kundi pati BA and BPA. And of course, supporters ng dahil kayo natin na to. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Carlos, for your message. And once again, thank you so much, Talent Tribe. Congratulations in advance. Ayan. Okay, so thank you so much, Talent Tribe. Grabe. And for sure, sobrang gandang learning experience ito para sa ating lahat. At tuloy-tuloy ang mga messages natin dito sa YouTube. Sobrang daming nag-cheer pa din. Diba? So I
Yes,
believe
Kuya
pareho.
Roy, tama ka. So, ano pa bang iniintay natin? Magbasa na muli tayo ng ating mga comments.
Yes, tama. Pwede.
section. Ito na. Ang dami. Yan na naman tayo. Nandito na naman tayo sa mga caps lock at saka sa mga exclamation points ng ating mga viewers.
Totoo, no elimination to, rindi na tayo sa sigaw ng ating mga viewers, di ba?
Yes, ito
Oo,
na. Ang dami
grabe.
na nilang nilalagay.
Yan. So gusto ko tanungin yung mga viewers natin, what was your favorite part of our debate siguro? Ayan, merong insight tayo from Rose and sabi niya, knowledge is not enough, actual practice matters. Yeah, totally agree with that insight, di ba? Ayan. So to all our debaters, what was your
favorite?
favorite?
Question mo. Yan, okay.
Yan.
Maganda
Ulitin natin. Ano
question
yung
yan.
favorite part nyo ng ating debate? And thank you, Doc J. Sabi Doc J, so part of the Heart Tribe. Another amazing. Siyempre, wag na wag natin kakalimutan ang pinaka-importanteng tribe sa Gurolympics, di ba? Ang Heart Tribe. Di ba,
Yes,
Charmaine?
Heart Tribe. Congratulations in advance, Heart Tribe.
Yes, oo. This will not happen kung kung wala ang Heart Tribe. Ayan, sabi dito, recess daw, head to head. Ayan, actually gustong-gusto ko
Recess
din yung head to
talaga.
head, no?
Nagustuhan.
Oo, grabe. Ayan, so daming comments dito, nakakatuwa dahil, alam mo yun, sabi ko nga nung eliminations, we all have pending activities, pero lahat tayo nagsusupport, lahat tayo nanonood ng debate, at lahat tayo pinag-uusapan itong mga important issues in education. Okay? Ayan,
Yes.
so,
So at this point in time, let us ask the sentiment of our judge. Let us all welcome Doxy. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, teachers. Hello. And of course, special greetings go to our chairperson, Dr. J, of course, and our dean and all the professors who may be around. Good afternoon po, dear colleagues, and of course to all the students and yes, the contestants, the participants, the debaters themselves, and specifically, of course, the organizers. I have never been this proud. I have never been this happy. My God, I am so proud. I am so happy that I belong to co-ed family. Okay, so in advance, I am congratulating all of you guys, especially to the winning team. And of course, in any um, competition like this, okay, both will be winners, especially in the hearts of the supporters. So for me, as the judge, I regard both tribes to be winners already. Although I have to choose, okay, which among, of course, the two tribes should be announced as the champion, of course. Okay? Okay, so for my comments, my remarks, I was really amazed on how, communicative and how competent the debaters had been. Oh my God, they were about to, quarrel, if not quarrel, but they were really actively arguing, but still they were composed. They were composed. I also love the way the debaters addressed, okay, the other party. Okay, I also love the way the debaters raised questions, okay, and of course the other team to provide, okay, response to the question raised by the other team or the other tribe. But I love most, okay, the provision of data, the provision of evidences. It simply proved that the education students really are researchers, okay, because most of the provided arguments in support to the stand of the team, both teams, okay, were research-based. There were empirical data, okay, provided by the debater or the debaters. And that contributed to my trouble. I found it very challenging really to, to pinpoint who, okay, between the two tribes. One thing more, please give me time, please give me time. I love the debater who had exclamatory statements. Yung bang, alam mo yun, para bang pagka, when you are writing, may mga punchline, especially pag yung concluding line. Kasi the ending line matters. The ending line, both in written and in oral communication, will be the one left in the mind, okay, of the reader and of the listener. So, I really admired the debater who was able to, catch my attention and, and my heart as the debater, okay, had striking, startling, okay, punchline. Gustong-gusto ko pati yung isang ending yung bang call for action. Ang ganda, parang the debater was calling for action. Di ba ang ganda nun? The listener, if this is a written activity, the reader will be left thinking, mag-iisip, kasi yung debater, meron siyang may iniwan siya. Hindi niya basta nilatag may iniwan siya sa listener. Gusto ko yon. Isa pa, pagbigyan niyo na ako mga anak pagbigyan niyo na ako rito. Okay, it was very evident that the debaters, okay, had their time to do some researching. They dig into facts, so they were able to provide, okay, supporting data. Iiba kasi sa debate yung you are providing your declarations with evidences. Iiba yon. It's not only the opinion of the debater or the debaters, but the opinions or the declarations had been based on research. May facts kasi. Tapos, I really love, okay, debaters who tended to be more conversational ang dating. Parang they were keeping it cool, di ba? They were keeping it cool kasi in a debate, bawal yung galit, bawal yung hot, bawal yun So keeping it cool, kalmado, And tapos, the debater or the debaters really were trying to study the oppositions or the opposing tribe, whichever. Pinag-aaralan ng debater yung kanyang, hindi naman kalaban, yung kadebate niya, pinag-aaralan niya eh. So nagustuhan ko yung may follow-up ba? Hindi katulad nung nagdi-debate na halata mo na scripted. Kung ano yung ni-research niya, yun na lang ang sasabihin niya ng sasabihin. During this final session, this championship round, my God, the debaters were really very good. Ang huhusay nilang lahat. And may I reiterate, I have never been this proud. I have never been this happy. So I go with the Doc J. Masaya-masaya ako. So the reason why I'm still sustaining my enthusiasm and my passion to be teaching at First Asia College of Education. Dagdagan ko, sorry naman mga anak. And one thing more, I congratulate my colleagues. I am congratulating the professors, okay, in the College of Education, because the supporting arguments provided by both teams were just evidences on how they were able to equip these students not only with the knowledge but with the skills to express themselves, okay, to be having the stand, okay, and to be vigilant in defending, okay, their conviction. Gustong-gusto ko 'yon. So congratulations po sa dean, congratulations sa aming chairperson, and of course to all the professors sa College of Education. Ang husay natin, sama ko na po ang sarili ko, ang husay nating lahat. Kasi yung mga depensa ng mga bata, ramdam mo na they were able to learn them not only through their research but through classroom discussions. Diba? So, ang ganda mga anak, we are very happy. Truly, sabi ng mga bata, truly, hindi lang yun ni-research, kundi aftermath of your learning. Thank you very much mga anak ha. You're making me really very happy. Okay? So, ano pa ang pwede kong sabihin? Dagdagan ko ha, Sir Roy. Yung bang staying calm, tapos the debater conceded a good point. Ang gusto ko yung pag ang debater, the debater tended to agree at some point with the opposing one, but in the long run, the debater tried to assert his or her belief. Yun ang gusto ko, hindi kasi pag nagdidebate, laban ka ng laban, hindi. Susuportahan mo rin naman yung kalaban mo, pero may conjunction kasing but. I love that. Ang husay ninyo talaga mga anak. Congratulations. And yung organization ng thoughts, based on your researching debaters, you were able to organize your thought. And yes, you were able to mention theorists. Di ba yun ang sinasabi ko naman lagi sa inyo, be sure that you will be befriending, okay, the theorists and the theorists and the principles of their theories. So nakita ko at narinig ko yun, and that the debaters know by heart. Okay, know by heart. Natatandaan nyo lahat yun mga anak. You really made me happy. Tapos, when you refuted the points of the opposition, you tried to be very courteous. And you even kept on smiling, hindi galit, maganda yon. Keeping it cool, gusto ko yon. Tapos you did listen carefully. Meanwhile, may mga points kasi, may mga portion na naghinder yung audio natin. May portion that hirap ako, I hardly heard what Teacher Faris was saying, and also sa portion ni Teacher Carlos. Pero nakatch ko. I was able to catch naman. Although nahirapan ako, talagang pinakinggan ko mabuti. And you use logic. Ang ganda, may mga logic kayo. May mga follow-up. May mga follow-up arguments kayo. Alam mo yun, yung na-organize nyo talaga yung ideas, hindi yung ibinigay nyo na lang, ibinigay yung punto nyo. So the debate, according to Roy, Teacher Roy, and of course to si magandang babae, si Ma'am, si Charlene ba yan? What's the name? yung napakagandang girl natin. Correct? I found it difficult. Yun si Charmaine, the very pretty Miss Charmaine. Totoo ang sinabi niyo mga anak. Oo, kaya nga from the very beginning, I have been telling that both tribes are already winners in my heart and of course in the heart of all the supporters, although I have to choose the one, okay, which should reign. Ano pa? And the debaters ask the right question. Bawal kasi magtanong sa debate, pero pwede. Kung yung alam mo, yung itatanong mo, masasalag mo yung isasagot. Ang ganda. It's okay to raise question. But the thing is, the question should be the right one. Ang ganda nun. And don't get distracted. Alam nyo kayo, mga first Asians, napansin ko sa inyo, you have the guts, you have the confidence. Hindi kayo madaling mataranta. Yung mga debaters, hindi sila madaling mataranta. They did not get distracted. Very good. And when they contradicted at the point of the other tribe or the other debater coming from the other tribe, okay, they tended to be confidently confident. Cool na cool talaga. Husay, natuwa ako sa totoo lang. Sana magkaroon pa uli, ma'am, ng maraming ganito. Sana maimbita ako kahit hindi judge. Oo, kahit hindi judge, mapanood ko lang talaga. Anyways, okay, so I guess that's all. Again, may I reiterate, please, when you again join a debate like this, be sure that you are prepared. Okay, when gather evidences from researches, analyze the evidences that you will be able to gather, organize after analysis. Tapos, if you are working in a team, if you will be working in a team, in a tribe like this, okay, you come together, have your brainstorming para ma-organize nyo, and present yourselves as you did. Nakita ko yun. Yun nga, keep it cool, stay calm, maghusay yun. Don't argue. Okay, every point for the sake of arguing. Don't argue every point for the sake of arguing. Agree. Mag-agree naman pwede, but overweigh it with a different argument. Yan. Pwede naman mag-agree ka. Parang professor din, di ba? I used to say, you may have the point, but I agree with you on that. But there is always the conjunction kasi. And yes, concede a good point. Listen carefully so at least you will know how to attack. Use logic, very logical. Dapat, katulad nung nanalo last time, ay may logic kasi. Ask the right questions, don't get distracted, and contradict confidently. That's all, mga anak. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be of service. Actually, I missed the chance of joining the family. They are there at Ocean Park, having our family banding, pero I had to say no kasi I would not, of course, miss this chance to be serving, okay, the co-ed family. Thank you and good afternoon, Sir Roy. Good afternoon, Sir Ma'am Charmaine. Thank you po. Congratulations to the winning tribe. Okay. Thank you. God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Doxy. At sana naman po, sulit ang hindi niyo po pagsama sa Ocean Park. Sana po isulit ang panonood niyo ng debate.
Oo naman, hindi. Sulit naman talaga. Sabi ko, hindi ko pwedeng ipalit ito. Hindi pwede ko ipalit. My chance to be witnessing, diba? Witnessing the application of the learning, the transfer of knowledge that you have gained from us, your professors. Nakikita ko and I'm very proud of you guys. Masaya ko. Really, 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 I'm very happy and I'm very proud to be at First Asia Co-ed. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doxy. And just like what Doxy said, congratulations to all our debaters because sabi nga ni Doxy, winners na tayong lahat, especially sa ating mga supporters. Okay? Just a quick commercial sa ating lahat na again, our scholarship is open for your friends or relatives na kilala nyo na pwede, no, na or may potential to be a teacher leader. Our scholarship is open. Okay? So you can just go to our Facebook page, Faith Teachers League, naka-pinned post po ang ating scholarship. Okay? So grab this opportunity, guys. Okay? So as you can see, College of Education has proved many things na in terms of quality education. Kaya this is a very rare opportunity na meron pa tayong marami pang full scholarship. So If you know someone, relative or friend, please refer them to Faith College of Education. Okay?
Yes,
Thank you
and
po.
I agree with everything that you've said, Kuya Roy. So, wag na nating patagalin pa. I-grab na po natin ang ganitong opportunity. So, be part of our co-ed family. And that concludes our debate competition. We would like to thank and express our deepest appreciation to our judge, Doc C, also to our community, most especially to our very own Faith Teachers League and the whole College of Education, to the Fang Tribe, Tail Tribe, Talon Tribe, Spine Tribe, and Heart Tribe. So once again, congratulations everyone, and thank you for being with us. Do not forget to attend the Gurolympics Awards night, which will be held on May 2 at 6 p.m. So sabay-sabay po natin sabihin, Ad Astra,
First
First
Asia.
Asia. This has
Thank
been
you,
your host.
everyone.
I am Charlene Makuhalmali from the Fang Tribe.
And I am Roy Vincent Montenegro from the Tail Tribe. Have a good day, everyone, and thank you so much. Bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Charmaine, and thank you,
Congratulations po.
everyone.